Well, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are. I do see that folks are still joining in the waiting room. So I'm going to give that another 30 seconds or so, and then I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning. A couple folks are still getting connected here, but want to be respectful of everyone's time. And I know we have a lot of excitement for the event today. So I have a few introductions and announcements, and then we will hop in. It's great to see lots of familiar faces today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Abra Lyons-Warren. I'm the director of HousingIs, which is a nonprofit entity underneath the Council of Large Public Housing Authorities. This is the very first session of the year of the HousingIs working group. So in just a moment, we'll put that calendar for the year in the chat for you. But this is something that we typically have an event every single month. Some of them are traditional webinars like what we'll be putting on today. Others are discussion-based, which are limited to CLPHA member PHAs. And then twice a year, we do update sessions, which are always a fantastic time for me and the HousingIs team to hear about all of the wonderful things that all of you are working on. But we've also gotten consistent, great feedback that it's really helpful for you all to be able to connect with your peers around alike topics as well. So I'm going to have Annalise and Teniola introduce themselves, and then I will give a few announcements. Teniola, do you want to go first?
Hi everyone, my name is Teniola Olafwe. I am the Health Policy and Program Analyst for HousingIs. I'll pass it to Annalise.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Annalise Herr. I am the Policy and Program Associate here at HousingIs.
Great. Big thanks to both of them who help keep the trains running and on time. So as I said, Annalise has gone ahead and put that link for the calendar in the chat. Please do go ahead and get those added to your calendars, get registered with them with Zoom. We did try to do calendar invites as we've done in past years, but that brings me to my next announcement, which is some of you know and heard over the summer that we have switched email addresses. So we are now housingis@housingis.org. Again, HousingIs is now a separate 501c3 organization. So we know some of your IT systems are very robust. We have similar problems on our end. Please do whatever your IT staff has instructed to green light or whitelist or whatever they call it to make sure that you're receiving that information from us. In the coming months, we will be officially turning off HousingIs@clafa.org, and that email address will no longer be active. So Annalise will drop the new email address in the chat, but we, again, strongly encourage you to do whatever you need to on your end to make sure that you're receiving communications from us, calendar invites, things like that. Those of you who've been with us for a while know we do not send out a ton of emails. We work very hard to not spam you at all, but we do have a regular newsletter that we send out. And then again, notices about these working group sessions. And then of course, our annual HousingIs Summit that takes place in May. Great. Okay. So with that, I think, Annalise, Teniola, did I miss any other announcements? Okay. Great. Well, we are very excited to have all of you join us today. As you know, connectivity has long been an issue of importance to HousingIs. We, like all of you, believe that it is critical to the success for many different things, from education to workforce development to social connectivity, especially for our populations like our seniors. And over the years, we've been really privileged to feature a lot of the great work that you all are doing, from everything from getting units wired to checking out devices, having a lending library, working with community partners to offer digital literacy classes. So today I'm really excited, and in just a moment we'll be turning it over to our new partners at T-Mobile. Very excited to have connected with them to talk about a really exciting opportunity that they have available. And I know that some of you have started to try to implement this in your communities. So we will be leaving lots of time at the end to answer all of your questions, and love to also have some brainstorming discussion among all of you about different methods that might be most useful for engaging residents in programs like this. So without further delay, I'm really pleased to turn it over to Elizabeth to introduce herself and her team further, and start her presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Abra. Hi, everybody. Elizabeth Rivers. I'm here coming at you from T-Mobile, and I'm here to talk to you about a program today called Project 10 Million. Before I go any further, can everyone hear me okay? I always like to check that. Okay, good. And I do have a sidekick on the call. Annie, are you still out there? You want to say hi?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, I'm Annie Trudeau. I'm with T-Mobile's Project 10 Million. I'm a communications and marketing specialist, and I help lead efforts to refine our customer experience, turn program data into actionable reporting for stakeholders, and I help support Elizabeth with marketing with local and national partners. So it's nice to meet you all, or be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Annie.
Yep.
We'd be lost without Annie, as you could tell by that long list of things that she does. So again, I'm here again today from T-Mobile, and we're going to tell you all about Project 10 Million. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you it may be brand new to you. Not to worry either way. At the end of our time together, you should have a good grasp of what the program is and how to put it to work for your residents. We're really excited to be able to spread the word to families that can use this service. We actually kind of found our way to this organization through another partner we're working with, United Healthcare. So it's sort of, the more the merrier. And we will also share some flyers and other resources with you after the call so that you can spread the word about this program to your residents. Okay, so just a real quick agenda check here. We just did our introductions, so we were already one down. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more about our collaboration together, and then get into the real sort of meat and potatoes of what Project 10 Million is and how folks can qualify for it. Then I'm going to show you the application process, both, sort of at a very high level and then a little more detailed if that would help. And then we'll have lots of time for questions at the end as well. All righty. So what the heck is Project 10 Million? And why are T-Mobile and CLPHA working together? Well, we were introduced by a like-minded partner, some folks over at United Healthcare who introduced us to let us know that this may be a program that your residents would be interested in. And we're here to help bridge the digital divide by providing information to you and then access to your residents to a free hotspot and data for 5 years. So it's through kindergarten through 12th grade for students K through 12. It's one per family, and it's a free hotspot and 200 gigabytes of data that they have for 5 years. Obviously, this is really important, this connectivity. As the school year is kicking off, I think it's top of mind for a lot of folks. Also with ACP ending and just being gone, as far as we know, this is a great resource to offer your tenants and to tell folks about. So we launched this program in 2020. Since then, we've connected about 6.5 million kids. We did launch right when COVID hit, and that was just sort of a crazy coincidence, but it was a good time with distance learning and kids not being in school. But the program flourished and it took off. And we realized that we probably needed to even add more data to the program. So we went from 100 gigabytes of data per year, and we doubled that last year to 200. So each family will get that hotspot sent to them. and it will come with 200 gigabytes of data per year for 5 years. And then on the anniversary date of your enrollment, so if you enrolled today, September 9th, you'd have that data until next year, September 9th, 2026. And then it would automatically just replenish your data. There's nothing that the parent or the child needs to do. It's like an automatic rollover. So there's no like certification or anything that you need to do to keep your data going. So how can kids qualify for this program? You're probably wondering. Hopefully through a means or a way that is pretty easy for parents to get their hands on the eligibility for, so either participation in National School Lunch Program, so that's free or reduced lunch. If families are on SNAP, for, via EBT or PEBT, so just SNAP, I think is how most people know it. Community eligibility provision within their school district, known as CEP, and then Medicaid recipients, which are a lot of our families, obviously. And then this last one probably doesn't apply to you guys as much, but this is FDPIR, which is distribution programs on Indian reservations. So that's how you qualify. Here is, hang on, before I go to it, I'm going to play a quick video. If you don't hear the sound right away, I will turn it up. It's about a minute long. We partnered with Boys and Girls Club a little over a year ago. They've been a great partner to us. And this video is just going to show you some of the activities we've done with some of the kids and another overview of the program. Bear with me.
And that's why T-Mobile, alongside the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, is committed to boosting digital access for even more students through the company's groundbreaking digital equity program, Project 10 Million, a nationwide initiative that is offering eligible student families free internet connectivity, a free hotspot, free data plan, and access to at-cost laptops and tablets. Education is evolving, and in today's digital world, every student deserves the digital tools to succeed. But for too many, the gap between opportunity and access is growing. That's why T-Mobile enhanced Project 10 Million, doubling the data allotment from 100
Oop.
gigabytes to 200 gigabytes per year for eligible Project 10 Million participants, and partnering with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to get free internet into the hands of more students and bridge the digital divide. Together, we're helping to shape a brighter future where every student has the chance to thrive. Digital access matters for our nation's youth.
All right, that was probably a little jerky, but hopefully you guys got the gist of our partnership with Boys and Girls Club and the program that we're bringing also to you today. This is just sort of an overview of the sign-up process. I'm going to go through each step individually, but this is where folks go to sign up. And very importantly, on the top right-hand corner of the page, there's the URL. It's tmobile.com/project 10 million. You can do it all lowercase. It doesn't have to have the capitalizations we show here, but that is where folks go to apply, and they just click on the apply here button. If we have a second, we can share that with you too before we go today. But when you do go to this URL and click on apply now, the first thing it's going to ask the parent or guardian or yourself, if you're helping a family, is which program that they're enrolled in that will give them eligibility for Project 10 Million. So it's just a little pull down menu. Here's like a snapshot of the pull down at the bottom here, and it's going to list school lunch, SNAP, CEP, Medicaid, and FDPIR. This particular screenshot is of a SNAP. When someone selects SNAP, and it's saying that when you apply, you're going to need to have a letter of eligibility. And that you can also take a snapshot of your card, the front and back of your card. And then it goes into some other document requirements here that I can't really read because it's teeny, but we can get into the nitty gritty when I go through each step. So that just asks, all you have to do is pick which one you're going to be using and just hit continue. And then on the second step, you're going to be filling in first and last name and phone number for the family. and then the email that they want to have their account registered with. It's going to ask you to put that email in again to be sure that it was correct the first time. It's going to ask you to pick a 4-digit PIN, and it's going to ask you if you prefer English or Spanish. And then you're going to hit next. Then you're going to put your mailing address. One thing to note is there's a check marks here if your mailing address is also the same as your shipping address. You just check that box. If for some reason a family, where their home address is, they want the hotspot shipped to a different location, you have the opportunity there to add a different address. But again, it's not required. You can just, your home and your shipping can be the same. The next step in the sign up process is to just give your student information. So you're going to start and pick the state that you're in, and then the school district that the child's in, and then the name of their school. Now this is pre-populated. So, once you pull down the state and you find your school district, you can start typing the name of your school, and it automatically is going to be going through those different schools that are in that district. To populate the one that you're trying to type in this case, Roosevelt Elementary School. There's also an option if you don't see your school listed, because things change all the time. And you can always just pick, I don't see my school listed, if push comes to shove. And then here they're asking for your student ID number. I know I have kids in school and their student ID number is really wonky. If a parent doesn't have a student ID number handy or they don't know where it is, you can always just use the child's date of birth. That's fine. We're not checking it against any database to see if it's an accurate student ID number. Okay, so you're going to hit next. And then here is where you're going to actually verify your eligibility. In the beginning, you said, we're going to use our SNAP program eligibility. And then here is where you're going to put in your SNAP EBT number, the 16-digit number. And then you're going to upload either your letter of eligibility or actual picture of the front and the back of the card. Here's some requirements here that the proof of eligibility has to include the first and last name of the parent or the guardian that's applying. If it doesn't have the parent or guardian's name, they have to upload a copy of their ID, and the SNAP card or the eligibility letter has to be dated within the past year to still be valid. So we just don't want any really old eligibility information. It's got to be somewhat recent. And it should have the name of the program on whatever it is that they're submitting. Then here you click add files and you can upload them either from your smartphone or your desktop. And then here's just a box checking that you attest to all that information being true. You hit submit. And then thanks, we have your application. This information here, additional info, is completely voluntary. People don't have to do it. We're just curious and want to start keeping better track of the grade of the students they have in the household and how they heard about us. So that's I know it's kind of scary because it's all on one page and it's a lot to take in, but there will not be a test, don't worry. And we're going to send you this deck after the call. So you'll have a chance to refer to this as much as you need to. So once you do complete your application, the parent is going to get an email, and the email is right here, the one in step 1. And it's just going to say, hi, and they'll populate their first name. We're pleased to let you know you've been approved for Project 10 Million. And it asks them to please verify their email within 30 days to activate their account. Actually, they're going to verify your zip code. So you verify your email by putting in your zip code. So here you're going to put in your zip code and check a box that says this is all true and none of it's made up. And then it's going to have you sign our e-signature, e-agreement. There's nothing in here that says we're going to ever charge anybody, that there's any fees, there's no credit card information, there's no data collected. This is really just for the parent to sign that they attest that this is their student and that they are in K through 12 at the school they said they were at. I know that for a lot of folks, it gets a little scary when you're asked to sign something that looks official, but just to reassure you all, there's no strings attached with this program and no one's going to get stuck with a bill and no one's even going to ask them to turn their hotspot in. So hopefully that will allay some fears. And then once they sign that e-agreement, we will ship their hotspot out to them. In normal times, when it's not the beginning of a busy school year, we typically get those out in 3 to 5 business days. Right now, because it is the beginning of school, we've kind of been going in and out of back order. If for some reason the hotspot is on back order when one of your parents orders it, they will get an email telling them that. But we've been clearing out our back orders pretty quickly. So hopefully they won't have to wait any more than a couple weeks or so. And we apologize for that. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's usually the beginning of the school year. So that's where we are with that. And then just something to note, and again, don't feel like you have to take copious notes because you're all going to get this deck. Up until October 13th, these are the steps that you're going to follow. They're the same steps I just showed you. They're just in a different order. You just upload your eligibility proof 4 steps in instead of choosing it right up front. That is just because we're doing some stuff on the back end with our processes and how we validate the eligibility. It's, not something that, you guys probably want to hear all the boring details of, but up until October 13th, these are what the steps look like, and then it will change over once we change our vendor on October 14th. And then this is just page by page what I just took you guys through. So this is, your very first step come October 14th and beyond. Once we have this new system in place, is you first do the pull down and you pick the program you're going to use for qualification. Let's say you choose SNAP. This gives you all the information on SNAP. Then you hit continue. Then the next step is, personal information about the family and the parent. So first, last name, phone number, email address, a PIN, and language preference, home address plus another shipping address if you'd prefer, or if they would prefer, the student information, state, school district, name of the school, and their student ID. And then here's where you're going to upload, or the parent's going to upload their file showing their eligibility and participation in SNAP or school lunch or whichever of the pull down programs that they chose. And then that's it. These are troubleshooting notes. I'm not going to go into those right now because it's probably going to make everybody go cross-eyed. What I'd like to do is just sort of see, I noticed we had some people kind of jumping in after I got started to see if everyone's comfortable with what the program is, what it does, and just invite folks to jump in with questions. The visual up on the screen right now are just basic information flyers, which we'll send to you after the call today. So that's a little bit about Project 10 Million.
Thanks so much. So I do see that there were a couple questions in the chat. So so let's start there.
Okay.
So the first one looks like if a student is maybe on their way to aging out of the program, right? They're a senior in high school. Would families still be able to have that device for 5 years, or does it cut off?
No, that's a great question. And it's actually one of the hidden gems that I like to really tell families and push with the parents. So if your kid's a senior in high school, they get it for 5 years. It doesn't end after their senior year of high school. So they'll have it for 5 years from their sign up date.
Great.
Yeah.
The next question says, they're asking for more information on what a data pass is. So they said there was wording on the website about being able to get 200 gigabytes at no cost, but then that optional data pass for $10.
Right, correct. So the 200 gigabytes is per year. And let's say, a family, they've got lots of kids at home that are using this data and they go through it in 5 or 6 months instead of a year. There is an optional data pass that families can purchase. It's $10 a month, and that'll get you 10 gigabytes of data. So it's a lot of data, but it is per month. And that's to help tide folks over. So if you maybe only need it for a month or two, then it's going to be $10 to $20. You don't have to buy it. You can also wait until your data replenishes, but it is going to be on in their account information, and their account is set up under their email, which they used when they signed up for the program. And they're going to get information on that once they're accepted into the program. They'll get a couple welcome emails that tell them more about the data pass and where to go to sign up for it. But it's optional. It's $10 for 10 gigabytes, and it's to tide you over until you get your new supply of data on your anniversary year.
And do you have a sense, just to kind of let folks know, are you seeing a lot of families getting right up to that 200 gigabyte capacity, or is that usually more than sufficient for most families?
That's a great question. It really depends on the type of schoolwork that the student is doing. Videos, if they're streaming a lot of videos, that tends to eat it up a little faster. But we found for people that are really just using it as a bridge between what they're not getting done at school and their schoolwork, that it's enough data. It's not meant to replace your home internet. It's not not meant to be for homeschooling, the only source of connectivity, but it really should be sufficient to do schoolwork that you aren't able to do during the day, because obviously when kids are in school, they have a Wi-Fi connection. So it's when they're out of school that they need this sort of extra bridge. And unless, they have a lot of kids and they're really going hard on the videos, it should be a pretty good tool to help them.
Great. And I should just say, everyone, I'm so happy to continue taking from the chat, but folks should also feel free to use the raise hand function, and we'd be happy to have you verbally ask your question as well. Okay, so the next question was, is there a limited number of available subscriptions? And I'm not sure if the person means how many hotspots total you have.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, if you meant something different, please either put in another chat or
Yeah.
your hand.
Yeah, no, we don't anticipate running out of hotspots real soon. Like I said, we've connected like 6.5 million kids. It's called Project 10 Million because we wanted to connect 10 million families, and that's just still an aspirational goal. But we don't have any worries in the near future of running out. I would say the only limit to the program is it is limit 1 per household. So even if a household has 3 kids, unfortunately, it's one hotspot per household. But we plan on keeping this program going as long as we can, and we will have hotspots.
And then we had a follow-up question from someone about, what if a resident is already using T-Mobile? Is there a way for them to kind of switch over their subscription?
Yeah, and they don't have to switch anything. If they were already using T-Mobile for their home internet or for their cell phone, we thank them for being a customer, but it has nothing to do with this. This is a separate account. This is on top of any account that they may have with us. And it also doesn't matter if they're a T-Mobile customer. They can be an AT&T or a Verizon customer and still qualify for this program. So we like to say we're carrier agnostic. We do not discriminate on who is your cell phone carrier or your internet provider, and nor do you have to change any of that when you sign up for Project 10 Million. This is just something on top of what you already have. Did that make sense?
Yes. Excuse me, and I do see we got a question about this, so I just want to reiterate for everyone who might not be following along in the chat. Yes, in addition to sending out the recording of this webinar, we will also send the slides, and then separately we will attach these flyers. So one thing that I'd love to hear from all of you about is kind of what has been most successful for you in your communities in terms of getting information out. Are you still seeing a lot of great success in putting up paper flyers in community centers or near family buildings for public housing? Would love for folks to kind of share what's working best for them. And I do want to note, as you see here, the flyers are available in both English and Spanish. I know Elizabeth and I talked about this a couple of months ago. They don't currently have other languages, but I know for some of you in your communities, there are languages that are really prevalent. So if you all have good sort of existing translation services in place and you do create other translations of these flyers, we'd love to help you share those with other PHAs who might benefit from those additional translations as well.
And also, I wanted to, probably a good time to jump in and introduce Donata. We have a colleague of yours who's with HopeLink, and HopeLink is on the West Coast. Donata Brenner and Annie have worked together in the past. And as I said, she's with HopeLink, which is based in either Bellevue or Seattle. I'm sorry, Donata, that I don't know that
Bellevue.
exactly. Bellevue, and they have used our program. And what are some things, Donata, that you've learned along the way that have worked or not worked for you? And have your residents found Project 10 Million to be helpful?
Hi, everyone. I'm Donata Brenner, and I'm with HopeLink. I work with families with children under the age of 18. Um, and thank you so much for inviting me, Elizabeth, and all the T-Mobile staff members. Project 10 Million have been very, very helpful to all of the families we're working with. We usually share the flyers in our offices. We have multiple offices in North and East King County, and supporting families during our meetings with the application process. And our partnership with T-Mobile have been very, very successful and supportive. I myself personally reached out to Annie on multiple occasions and received all the support and answered to all of the questions that families have had. And so far, all of our families are very grateful and are happy with the service and the overall project. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. And I know we have some of our King County Housing Authority partners on. I'm not sure if I saw anybody from Seattle. Apologies if I if I missed anyone, but would love to hear from other folks in the area for you all to connect. And then Biljana, I saw your hand was raised. Did you want to say something?
Sorry. Thanks, Abra. I actually just added a question in the comments. Typically, we have to get like formal approval if we're adding someone's logo to our document. So I was just curious about, so we would love to translate, the flyer in at least a couple additional languages. So
Right.
just wondering about that little step.
That's something that you and I will broker ourselves, because if I
Okay.
get, legal and everybody else involved, and then if I don't speak the language, I won't know if it's correct. But I think, between you and I, we can get a logo put on there and a translated
Okay.
document.
So,
Yep.
fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think in a similar context, we've had some suggestions from folks just about wanting a little bit more communications help. I do want to share on Elizabeth's behalf that they have a super, super, super tiny team working on this and a very, very, very small communications budget. So we're very pleased that, T-Mobile has made this available for so many families. But Elizabeth is working on a shoestring budget for this particular portion. But Elizabeth, are you able to share, do you have other resources possibly besides the flyers?
Yeah, I mean, flyers tend to be the one that people want. We do put all this information on a poster, if that would be more helpful, either 11 by 17 or 24 by 36. We've even done some banners in the past, but if you need, a flyer that you want to co-brand, and, we've done this with Boys and Girls Clubs too, it's a message that's geared more towards boys and girls club families, and how they go about asking about the program when they see it hanging in the lobby of their local Boys and Girls Club. So if there's something that we can do to just personalize a flyer or create one that has space to drop in a logo, we're happy to do that. And that's something that we can manage on our own. It's when we have to create net new, brand new from scratch, that we have to involve our studio and our agency, and that gets a little tougher.
Sheila, do you want to maybe come off mute and talk a little bit about how you all use social media or other mechanisms to get information out to residents?
I can't speak in a formal capacity because I'm a former housing authority, but when I did, we actually used a text messaging tool in addition to papering doors with the flyers. What we found is combining the text messaging tool along with social media and flyers sort of served as a reach and frequency campaign. And so having standard messaging already formatted for the different social media platforms that we were on, along with the hashtags, allowed us to load it up into the social media management system and schedule it out as a reminder for people. So it was supportive, and it, again, you know, you have to have at least 7 touch points in order for someone to really take action and have it stick. And so being able to, with a really small team at that time, have the toolkit already available and the messaging already done and everything already set up, and it's just a matter of press send to go
Yep.
was very helpful.
Yep. Wow. You should teach a class.
I love teaching classes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing
Any
a couple other comments in the chat about text messaging working really well for them as well.
Yeah.
And then someone from, so there are folks on from Seattle Housing Authority. Thank you. They send out information via email as well as snail mail.
Yeah.
They will add communications to regular newsletters that goes out to residents as well.
Yeah, and we ourselves send text messages to let families know about the program. So you may or may not know that Metro is a T-Mobile brand. It's Metro by T-Mobile. So we just reached out to all of our Metro families. There's about 4 million of those, and sent a text to them that, you know, did you know this is available? School's almost in. You can get 200 gigabytes of data for 5 years. Click here to apply. And that's language I can also share with you all that we used, because you want it to be, you know, short and snappy to the point, let people know what the benefit is, and then get out of there.
So I definitely don't want to put anyone on the spot, but those of you that emailed with me in the last couple of months about this, who have started trying to tell residents about this, or have done other sorts of work on it, would any of you like to contribute as to what has worked, what you're still thinking through? And while you're thinking about if you'd like to volunteer, I'd also ask, for those of you who are really involved in ECP enrollment efforts, what were your lessons learned from that? And what do you see maybe working for something like this?
Yeah. Sad thing about ACP is it just went away, right? For those of you who aren't familiar, this is a hotspot. So they're not very big. It's about maybe half the height of your phone. So the good news with this is it's not a fixed internet connection. You don't have to be in one place to use it. So families, you know, kid can throw this in their backpack and it can go wherever, to school, grandma's practice, their job, wherever it needs to go. And we are now sending out 5G hotspots with our program. And what that means is that it's a much faster connection. Now, if you're in an area where you don't have 5G, or we're not covering 5G, which is practically nowhere because we kind of cover everywhere, they still work at 4G speeds. But if anyone's wondering, that's a hotspot.
Excuse me. Tim, yes, I will see if we are able to do that right now. I'm curious also, you know, for folks who are thinking about maybe getting this information out, are you envisioning that you're just going to send it to residents and kind of let them take the lead if they want to go through enrollment or not? Or do you have any sort of infrastructure in place where you might be able to actually help residents sign up? Yeah, Eric, go ahead and come off mute.
So my thought was we have a monthly listening session with our residents. And so that we actually use alert media, where we use the text, phone call, and email to go out to our participants. And so we'll make this a part of one of those listening sessions, and then do the follow-up. So.
Piliama?
Yeah, this is such a great opportunity. Actually, thank you for sharing. And we are more than likely going to do similar things what we did when we did ACP, and that's to basically like use all of our platforms we can, because people use different platforms, from our own social media posts, to website, text messages, emails, anything we possibly can just to get the word out. But I also never underestimate, the value of just having flyers posted
Yeah,
around buildings,
I'm with
and
you.
especially
Yep.
QR codes. I love QR codes because sometimes, people are like, I mean, starting with myself, like by the time I punch in that email address or, like the website address, I may not get it right, or maybe, I don't know. So QR codes are awesome. Kind of scan it, kind of move on. I think also there's a lot to be said about just that personal connection with our on-site staff. We're really lucky to have a pretty large resident services team. So we will sort of embed this into conversations, they're having with families, events that are happening on site, and kind of things like this. Some of the barriers we had, when we were enrolling folks in ACP, was uploading documents they needed for verification for
Yeah.
two reasons. Folks may not have access to those documents or may not know
Yeah.
how to upload. So
Yeah.
that's where we, I think, see a value of our staff, stepping in and uploading, helping them
Excellent.
upload the documents. Yeah.
Excellent point, because it could be, it's mom, dad, or grandparent that's not familiar with how to upload things. And what do you mean? I got to take a picture, and where did it go? I just took the picture, now I can't find it. So yeah, we find with Boys and Girls Club, it helps to kind of walk a parent through it. And yeah, sometimes just finding that documentation, especially for families that move a lot, it's in that junk drawer somewhere, right? But you don't know where. And unfortunately, that really is the hardest part. That is the most difficult hump with the program, is getting that eligibility, uploading it, and getting it submitted. But after that, you're home free, right? You're 5 years unencumbered, and you don't have to redo anything. So yeah, that's the part that's a little tougher. And I did put the flyers in the chat. The
I did
flyers.
also, so everyone has them twice now.
Yay. Hey, better more than not. And the flyers do have a QR code on them, so you can scan those and it'll take you right to the enrollment page. I think I saw someone asking for co-branding flyers. So Eric, do you mean like ones that would have space for your logo? That I would have to create those. Yeah, but we'll get them for you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
I think we'll make sure before we end today that Elizabeth shares the best way to get in touch with her.
Sure.
So those of you who want to follow up.
Yep. That's
Um,
actually on your very last page on here. So you have my phone number and my cell phone. So you reach out to me anytime, and I'll send that on for the ladies to share with you. And I'll include Annie's information as well. Annie's a great resource as well if you can't get in touch with me.
And there are a couple other questions. So Tim, I don't know if you want to say more. Tim mentioned that they are part of Connect Home, which is HUD's digital connectivity initiative. So Tim, I don't know if you want to share more about how you plan to add that to your outreach. And then Heather says, plan on doing monthly resident newsletters, placing it on their website, which is great. And she's with their FSS program, their family self-sufficiency program, so has the ability
Awesome.
to help direct participants with it. Yeah, and that's great that you'll share. I've also shared it with my local school district, so not part of my day job, but figured
Yeah.
I know there are families there that could benefit too. So
Yep.
that's great if folks want to do that.
Yep.
There was also a question about if the 10 million has specific allocations for specific geographic areas, like by state, for example, and if so, have certain states hit their limit for the program?
Yeah. Well, somebody's been doing their homework. That's a great question. For the first 5 years of this program, we did have allocations per state. I think we hit one state one time where we went over the allocation. So luckily, it never became an issue. And then once the 5 years of our program was done, and it was a 5 year program because it was a condition of the T-Mobile merger with Sprint, is that we would do this program for 5 years. But we blew past that finish line of the 5 years and said, to heck with it, we're just going to keep doing this. And we decided to do that. We did away with the allocations and the state stuff. So now it doesn't matter if you're in Wisconsin or California or Texas. There's no, we're not going to hit a limit. So we're good.
Perfect. That's great to know.
Yeah.
Do any of you know if any of your residents are already utilizing this program?
No? All right. Well, not to brag, but it's free, free, free. And our, other folks in the space do have programs to help underconnected families, but they all seem to cost something, whether it's like $10 here or $19 there. This is, once you get the pain in the butt thing with the eligibility out of the way, this is an unencumbered free resource, a free hotspot with 200 gigabytes of data per year for 5 years. No strings, no return fee, nothing. So people often ask, what's the catch? I'm like, there is not a catch.
Yeah, perfect. And Tim's also mentioning that they utilize ROS and Vista, which are some additional government programs to help with some of their staff capacity to reach residents, and that they can likely expand what they use for residents to do for families and youth.
Yep, that's great. I mean, double dip, triple dip, whatever you can. I mean, the thing when ACP was around that was great is families could sign up for ACP and have this, which was nice. But if there's other government assistance programs or other connectivity programs that are in existence, you can definitely layer this on.
Yeah, and just to clarify, ROS and Vista aren't connectivity specific. They're just ways to kind of get additional sort of
Got
staff.
it. Yeah, I hadn't heard of those two.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions about how this works, what residents might need to sign up? Does anybody want to go back to any of those kind of zoomed in screenshots of what the application looks like? Yeah, Billiana, go ahead.
I apologize. I feel like I'm taking up so much
No,
space today,
please.
so I am very sorry, but I am just curious if down the road you might consider, as far as the eligibility criteria, if maybe access to one of the public housing assistance programs, could be also something that would be added to the list, such as a housing choice voucher program or public housing, because that we have direct access to, and that was really helpful, in removing some barriers in ACP.
Right. Yeah, just adding that as an option.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, recently we went the wrong way. We even had a longer list of programs and we were finding that no one was really using them to prove their eligibility. So like TANF was one that we removed. But definitely, I think in the future, we'd be open to adding ones back in, especially if they make sense for folks like you who tell us, like, look, we could have done this really easily because you have the information probably for the residents, right? What it is it's dollars at this point. The vendor that's going to help us look through the eligibility documents charges us per program. So that just means that Annie and I have to arm wrestle with our boss to let us add programs back in. But if I can give good reasons like this, then that's not an issue. Should be able to. Because we want to make it easier, not harder. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely, I'd be very curious to get feedback from all of you, and I'm happy to share it with T-Mobile about, if residents are telling you that they find something confusing or, they're not sure how something works. Definitely love to hear any of that feedback. If they are having trouble, figuring out where their SNAP card
Mm-hmm.
or, whatever the case might be. So
Yeah.
definitely would love to hear feedback about that.
I will say one that comes up fairly often, but the application will stop you, is the email that they use has to be an email that's unique to T-Mobile. So let's say that they are a T-Mobile customer, whether they've got a phone line with us or home internet, they can't use that same email. So it's got to be a fresh email. So I've had parents, we've been at back to school events waiting in line and we're making up Yahoo emails because they already were registered with T-Mobile. And that was just something on our end when we set up the program that someone didn't think through, but that is one that comes up.
And someone would just asking, oh, never mind. It's been answered, but
Okay.
I'll just share for everybody else's edification. So someone was asking if it's easy to track how much of the gigabytes have already been used.
Yes.
And so what you can do, as is shared in the chat, if folks want to check it out, you would sign into your account, and then it would tell you how much is.
Yep, you sign into your account and you also get emails that will tell you, Annie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's every 10 gigabytes it says, this is what you've used.
Yep.
And you can log into your account anytime and see your usage.
Yep. Elizabeth is exactly right.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious for those of you, I assume most everyone on here has some kind of interest in connectivity, even if you're not the main staff person or you don't have a dedicated initiative with your housing authority or other agency. But are you finding that residents are typically using computers, whether it's a laptop or a desktop? Are they more using mobile devices or tablets? What's this kind of looking like right now for your families? Okay, someone says phones.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it'll power a phone. That's for dang sure. We were shocked by how many kids were trying to do their homework off phones during the pandemic, which, as you could see, would be very challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody on here knows the answer to this, but I remember hearing as what was to me a very surprising statistic a number of years ago at this point, but it was kind of a tipping point at which more residents were completing housing waitlist applications on a mobile device for the first time ever compared to a non-mobile device. So I think both sort of that being usually less expensive than a computer or a tablet is skewing it. But yes, it's incredibly difficult to do lots of things on your phone. The FAFSA application, job applications are sometimes really hard, and applying for unemployment, things like that. So
Yep. And what browser you're using, if you're Android or your iOS, there's all kinds of things that can make it sticky. But we found out recently, and I was a little shocked myself, that like 80% of our applications come in through applications on a phone versus a desktop. Even though desktop is a much easier, experience in terms of being able to read all the fine print, but it's mostly phone.
And for those on the call, are you seeing a lot of utilization still for those of you that have computer labs in certain locations? Are you also still having partnerships with community agencies to help provide either free or low-cost devices for residents?
Making sure I didn't hang up on everybody. Are we still here?
You didn't. We're still here.
Okay.
I was just pausing to see if anyone felt like chiming in. Folks are a little quiet today, which is fine. This is our first webinar back.
Yeah.
So this is a topic we've covered from a lot of different angles, but it remains really, really, really important. So really pleased that we were able to share this information with folks today. We have just a couple of minutes left if anybody has any final questions. And so I want to make sure, again, here is Elizabeth's contact information. we will, in the coming days, be sending out, as I mentioned, a recording of today's webinar, the slides, and then also, again, those flyers. If you have specific questions, you want to do that co-branding, you're really looking for a specific, specification for social media, something like that, please be in touch. If we're able to help, we will. But we will continue to try to get this information out there in a variety of channels, and definitely encourage you all to do so as well. And like I mentioned, I would absolutely love to hear follow-up about what you're hearing from residents, how they're finding the program. Elizabeth, is there any way, I don't know how granular the tracking is able to be, is there any way to kind of see what percentage ends up being from
From
residents?
your, yeah, well, yes and no. We could work on getting flyers with a QR code that's unique to you. Maybe we can work on doing that and then getting, having that be the flyer that has room for you to drop a logo in. But other than that, it's really hard to tell, unless it's like a big area. Like if you said, okay, in Chicago this weekend, we had a fair and we had all these families come, can you look at pops in Chicago? Then we can kind of tell. But really, once they enter into the application, it's hard to track exactly where they came in.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I wish it was more robust, but
No, but it makes sense because it's not like they all have like the same email address domain or something like that. So
yeah.
yeah, just a thought. There was one vote for the unique QR codes.
Okay. Yeah.
So, or maybe 2 votes, I think. So something to think about for sure.
Okay. Awesome.
I know I would just be personally sort of curious. We always love to be able to, give
Right.
more power behind
Right.
showing how
Yes.
important these services are.
Yes. Yes. And when you can say we had 300 families take advantage, I mean, that's very powerful.
Right.
I know in our work with United Healthcare, we're doing flyers that have a unique QR code to them. So we'll be able to tell how many people like zapped that QR code.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let us go back and see, it might take us a little bit, but we'll certainly should be able to get that for you guys.
Okay. Well, that would be great. So folks, maybe hang on for just a little bit. And hopefully we can send that out when we send the other follow-up information.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Seems like there's a few votes for that idea. So
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
I wish I knew how to do it. I mean, because it can't be that hard, but
I don't think it's too, we have another partnership that does unique QR codes for Google Analytics. So I don't think it's too difficult, but
yeah. Just got to know the right people. Yep.
yeah. Great. Any final questions or comments for today? Okay. Well, huge thank you to Elizabeth, to Annie, to Donata, to everyone who asked questions today. Again, we're so excited to have this opportunity and to be able to share that with folks. I do want to note that our next session is just for CLPHA PHA members. So that is not open to the public, but it's an update session on October 14th, which is a Tuesday. You can, if your place of business is closed for Indigenous Peoples Day, then we hope you'll still be able to join us on Tuesday, following that Monday holiday. But always look forward to those. Hope you can join us, and we will be sending out these follow-up materials in the very near future.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.